let's talk about what you saw from this Seahawks offense with little time removed. You noticed, and I like the way you phrased this, they seemed hesitant and too straightforward. What are you seeing?
Yeah. No, I've watched the All-22 one times through. I like to watch at least 2 or 3 times through.
Yeah.
When I say hesitant, it means that the movements aren't confident in the players. And too straightforward means that there's nothing to really, and I say this all the time, to deceive the defense.
Spice it up.
Yeah, spice it up a little bit. It's just, we're going to line up, 2 by 2, we're going downhill.
Yeah.
And even when they do some motions, it's a motion and then the receiver's setting up. And then Geno's reevaluating, and then bang, you're snapping the football. When you look at these other offenses that hit, we've seen the Vikings do it, the Green Bay Packers do it, the Niners do it, the Rams have done it against us as well, is they're snapping the football with movement going on. To where now the linebackers have to move with this jet sweep, and then you're hiking the ball and going the other way with the run, or you're booting out of it. The one time where I saw some great movement, Geno got stepped on by Zach Charbonnet, and the play was dead. Now it's -6, and you never went back to that. You're deterred from that. It's almost like you make a mistake, now you don't want to run it again. So straightforward to me means that there isn't a lot going on that is making the defense take false steps on the second and third levels. That's how you get guys open. Hesitant, I'm talking about just the players. That first drive was beautiful. You watched the first drive.
It was great.
What, seven run plays out of 11 total until you get down to the red zone and Geno almost throws an interception. Goodness gracious. That first drive was beautiful. There was no hesitancy. The tackles and guards are wrapping around in power in this counter, getting downhill and smacking fools, and they look good. They look fresh. But as the game went along, they started just to wear down a bit. And I got to big up this Chicago defense. When you have a young corner on the outside, say someone gets hurt, right? Your starting corner gets hurt, then they bring in a guy wearing number 20-something that you don't even know who he is, and you got a DK Metcalf on the outside. What are you going to do? I'm going to test him right now. I'm going to go up top, and I'm going to test him. The Chicago Bears did that with the offensive line for the Seahawks. The stunts that they've ran, I don't know if they've been running these all year. I've only watched 2 games of the Chicago Bears, and they were a bit aggressive, but they were more aggressive tonight. Why were they? Because on film, the Hawks or that offensive line has shown that if you stun them, there will be some mistakes. There will be a guy looking right and the stun going to the left and 2 guys blocking one. Now Geno has a linebacker staring at him as he's trying to throw the football. They schemed it up. They know that if you stunt the heck out of this offensive line, mistakes will be made, and that's exactly what happened. So people are looking at Geno. They're saying, throw the football, throw the football. I go, well, the stunt just went down, and he has a linebacker right in his face.
Not that simple.
Right? It's you. Let me, Stacy, stand up. Let me run at you as fast as I can. You try to throw a football.
I'm scared.
You might wince a little bit. You might wince. Not saying Geno played a great game, but I'm saying that there are some things that affect that. And then I'm looking at the route combinations. They put on film for 16 weeks. They love mesh, and they love spacing. And a good DB or good defense knows that if this guy goes in, this other guy has to go out. The other one has to go deep. It's simple. It's just layering. And it seems like these DBs and linebackers are anticipating some of these route combinations that are going down. And you're having DK run these short stuff, Jason run this short stuff, Lockett run this short stuff. Why? Because you know you're getting stunted, and that offensive line isn't going to be able to protect very long. So now you got to run that short game. And it's not your traditional short game. It's a bunch of layers and stuff with it. It seems like the secondary is just sticky. The last couple of weeks, they are sticky when it comes to these route combinations. They're recognizing it. They're being coached up. It's familiar. And now Geno don't want to let it go. You almost throw an interception down in the red zone, but now you're seeing it. And a throw he might make in a tight window, he doesn't want to do it anymore because he's scared he's going to throw an interception. And because you have a linebacker bracketing a slot receiver and a corner on the outside all over DK, it's a domino effect. It's like you have that great first series, boom, everything's working. Even the pass game, a couple of passes were good. You almost throw an interception, now you're thinking about it. Defense comes out, that second, third series, they're stunning the heck out of you. Now you don't have that time. You know they're getting sticky on the back end. Everything starts to slow down. There's friction in the offense.
If we were to, it's impossible to do realistically. All of these things are interconnected. The offensive line, Geno, wide receiver play, blocking on the part of tight ends, running backs, and then obviously your offensive coordinator. It's impossible to just isolate things. But if we were to isolate Grubb as much as we possibly can, let's do that for just a couple minutes here with anything that you liked and then questions you might have or things Grubb might need to do in what may be a must-win Week 18? Because I got to be honest, Bump, the number one name I was seeing talked about after this one, at least by fans on X.com, was not necessarily Geno. It wasn't the offensive line. It wasn't even great play by Devin Witherspoon or Leonard Williams. It was Ryan Grubb.
Yeah. When it's all said and done, he has to call the plays to get these guys open. You can have all the talent in the world, but you got to come up with the scheme. You got to practice it during the week. You got to get your guys to execute. It's got to be clearly communicated, and you have to go get it. That first series was amazing. I loved it. They committed to the run. They got downhill. You saw that pin and pull that Big Ray loves and talks about all the time. It looked great, but then things start to happen. And just as a player, if you get not dominated, but you're not winning your matchup the way that you used to, all right? You're going to try to simplify some things. You're going to be hesitant to try some things against a guy because you feel like he's better than you in some areas. I think that happens with coordinators sometimes too. He's looking at the offensive line and like, man, we're getting our butts kicked. We can't go deep. Oh, they're sticky on the back end. Man, I'm going to try this play action. Oh, man, Geno fell. I don't know if we can do that anymore. You know, you start to doubt yourself. This is all assumption. I don't know what Grubb is going through.
But, I mean, that's what we're asking you to do, right? It's just,
I don't know what Grubb is going through up top. But I would imagine I've called plays at a lower level, and those are the things that you go through. And then you have the weather factoring in that's affected your play calling. It's a domino effect, man. In a football game, it's nothing but stress. How are you handling the stress? And then how do you handle the euphoria of success during that at the same time? It's a bunch of emotions going on. You're getting feedback. Sometimes, like I said yesterday, sometimes bad teams do some things that just jack you up and messes up your flow. That's exactly what these guys did. The unfortunate part about it is that we feel like we've seen this so many times this year. We feel like we've seen the running game get shut down eventually after it looked like you could do something. We've seen Geno hold on to the football when you feel like he could throw it. We've seen receivers not get open on the back end. So when you hear Mike McDonald talking about we're not there yet, he's absolutely right. In the morning show, he said, look, we're just not there yet. Absolutely right. You are not there yet. So what are you going to do as a coaching staff to put these guys in position to hopefully win the division on Saturday if the Cardinals beat the Rams on Saturday? That's what it is, man. There's no consistency. I think teams have film on the scheme. They're scheming it up. They're putting pressure on the offensive line. Geno gets trigger shot because he doesn't want to throw the football away again. And then the routes on the backside are just sticky. The defense is all over it.
206, the reason those people say Ryan Grubb is because they know they can't play football, but they think they can call a game. I think that people do often, and this includes me, watch games, and your first impression is always like, well, you should have done this, right? I mean, you can apply that concept to anything. When I watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and they show the answer, I'm like, I knew that. Obviously. However, I do think there's some truth to some criticisms of Grubb and trying to figure out, like, where does he grow as a play caller? What do you want to see? I do think they got away from the run, and I'd love to know why. And again, we have many segments today where Bump is going to be explaining what he's seen so far. And I do think there's also some things to be said about this not being a great game for Geno. Is that injury? Is it protection? Or is it Geno hesitating, maybe making bad decisions, right? That's another topic we're going to explore.